Welcome to another video by J2012, and we're out today with the Hobao Hyper 7 TQ2 with the Mach 28 engine. The other day we did the first start tutorial, how to start the engine for the first time. If you haven't seen that, please check it out on the channel. So we've done tank 1. For tank 1 you just let the engine sit and idle. You'll see that in the previous video, so please check it out. We've left the engine running rich throughout the whole procedure, so we've got 4 more tanks to go before the engine is fully broken in. So first step is, obviously it's a different day, so I'm just going to turn on my radio, turn on my receiver and just check, once again, before we start the engine. You should do this every time before you start the engine. Just check that we've got good servo movement, check everything's responding, check your brakes and check the steering is working as well. Okay, so now we come on to tank 2. I'm just going to refill the tank. As I said in the previous video, I'm using OptiFuel 25% Nitro because this is a 28 engine. So I'm just going to fill up the fuel tank. I'm not going to fill it all the way, I'm going to leave a little bit of room in there just to let some air in. For the breaking in procedure, all you need really is a few tools, just a glow plug igniter, possibly a flat end screwdriver and just a 4-way cross wrench to maybe remove your glow plug if you need to. So I'm going to start up the engine, and tank 2, this is tank 2, engine is running rich. It's just very, very slow driving in figure of 8 circles with plenty of fuel going in. Remember, your nitro engine relies on the fuel for its lubrication, so therefore we want plenty of fuel going in to lubricate this new engine. Let's do it. Okay, so tank number 2, very, very slow driving in figure of 8 circles. We're going to do this for the whole of tank number 2. The engine is running very rich. As you can see, the blue exhaust smoke tells us that. Tank number 2, slow driving, figure of 8 circles. Throughout the tank I was regularly checking the engine temperature. I was sort of punching the throttle just a little bit to get some nice blue smoke out of the exhaust pipe, getting that lubrication through the engine. Obviously check the engine temperature. I was just taking my glove off and just checking the heatsink. If it was really hot, so much so I was getting burns and it was running too hot. What you might want to do, because it's a new engine, it's going to be running quite tight, so it does run hotter than a run-in engine, so to speak. You might want to do half a tank at a time and then let it sit, let it cool down, and then restart it and carry on for the tank. So we've done tank 1, we've done tank 2, so now we're on to tank 3. Again, figure of 8 driving. This time though we're going to be using probably about sort of no more than half throttle in figure of 8 circles. If you take a look, just about half throttle. So before we were sort of on tank 2, we were sort of there. Now we're going to go about there, no more than that. Just getting it up to speed on figure of 8 circles, and then when we get to the corner, just coasting it round. So let's refuel the tank, and we'll move on to tank number 3. Once again, not going to fill it all the way. And let's restart it and do tank number 3 of the 5 tank standard break-in procedure. So the engine is still running very rich, and we're on tank number 3 now. So I'm driving in figure of 8 circles, accelerating up to about half throttle, just coasting it round, not using any brakes. You've got to do this for the whole of tank number 4. Tanks 1 to 3 now, so now we're on to tank 4. Tank 4, once again we're going to start the engine up, we're going to check the engine temperature regularly. We're going to accelerate up to half to 3/4 throttle. So about half, up to 3/4, accelerating slowly, then just easing it off and just coasting it round the corner. So this is a straight line exercise, so if you're doing the rest of these tanks in your driveway or something, then you're going to need to go to a slightly larger area because you're going to have to reach higher speeds with your car. And at this moment in time, the braking procedure is a great chance to familiarise yourself with the handling of your new car and get yourself comfortable with the controls. So before you do tank 4, just make sure you're happy with controlling your car at higher speeds. If you're in a busy area, we're not today, we're in a quiet car park, but if you are in a busy area, just make sure you're happy with how to steer and brake your car if there are people around for safety for obvious reasons. So once again, I'm just going to refill the tank. Now, because we're reaching slightly higher speeds, what you may need to do, and I stress this, what you may need to do, don't do it unless you need to, is you may need to lean out the high-speed needle just a little bit. The high-speed needle is this brass coloured tube. Okay, and you might need to lean it out just a little bit, just clockwise to lean it out. What that means is, because we up to now have been driving very slowly, we've been running the engine very rich. What you may find is as soon as you accelerate and give it more throttle, the engine may flood because there's just too much fuel going in there. So just for the purpose of finishing this braking procedure, you may need to lean out the high-speed needle a little bit, as I just showed you, just for the purpose of getting it done. Don't go mad with it, don't lean it out too much, but just a little bit, just to stop it from flooding the engine. You might not have that issue, and if you're not, then that's absolutely fine. Don't touch it if you don't need to. So let's go on to tank 4 and we'll show you how it's done. Okay, so we're reaching half to 3/4 throttle. As you can see, the engine is running very rich by the blue exhaust smoke. Not exceeding that throttle, just half to 3/4. And you've got to do this for a whole of tank 4. The braking procedure, the final tank. So in this tank we're going to be reaching full throttle. As I said in the previous clip, you need to be familiar with using your RC car. You need to be comfortable with using full throttle, how to brake, how to steer, and also you need to check that you've got good range on your radio receiver. Otherwise, because you're going to be going faster, you're going to be going slightly further away, so therefore you need to make sure that you've got a good enough range, that it'll go further enough away, that the batteries are charged enough to do that, which they should be, because you should have put new ones in when you did the first start video the other day. Okay, so I'm just going to refill the tank once again. Probably got just enough there for this final tank. Okay, and so in this tank, if you have a look at the transmitter, we're going to be accelerating slowly. I'm not going to jolt it, I'm not going to go bam, full throttle like that, that's not good. I'm just going to go slowly, accelerate up to full throttle and release. Up to full throttle and release. That's the idea of it. As you go through this tank, you can start holding it on the full throttle for a little bit longer, because by the time this tank is finished, your engine is going to be broken in, so to speak. Once we finish the braking procedure, I'm not going to then straight away take it to climb up the mountains. I'm going to leave it running a little bit rich for a few tanks afterwards, just for increased lubrication, because it's still a new engine. Although it's technically broken in now, it's still a new engine. I'm just going to go easy on it, maybe just give it a few runs around on the tarmac until it's fully, worn in and ready to be leaned up and tuned up, etc. Okay, let's start it up. Let's do this final tank. Okay, so here we go. Straight line exercise, make sure you've got enough room for it. Slowly accelerating up to full throttle. And release. Once again, slowly accelerate up to full throttle. And release. You can see it's running rich, the blue exhaust smoke tells us that. And we're just coasting around the corner, not using any brakes. I tend to like to accelerate up a little bit like this, and then just punch the throttle a few times. Just gets a bit more fuel around there, nice lubrication. And then once you've done this tank, your braking procedure is complete. As I say, leave it running a little bit rich for the time being. Don't take, excuse me, don't take it up the mountains. Leave it running a bit rich, and have fun with it. Thank you.